students and the general public. And that's one of the reasons why our state police has supported the Department of Schools with presence as school begins and school ends, in support of the mayor and his efforts to support the schools.
They don't have fucking anything. Okay. Breaking news. Trump has decided, you know what? I want to just get a rise out of everyone, because it's about time and the Epstein files are supposed to be released on Friday, and I have to put everyone on their fucking toes. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before. Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. What land did they steal? What the fuck are you talking about? The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves. Drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping. I think that's fucking ironic considering that your regime human trafficked 230 plus Venezuelans to El Salvador. I think it's fucking funny that you're talking about drug terrorism when you have the fucking CIA. I think it's hilarious that you're talking about murder when there was literally a detainee in ICE custody that was fucking lynched. So your hypocrisy is just out in the open. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. Therefore, today I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers going into and out of Venezuela. He literally cannot do this without Congress, by the way. This is fucking illegal. The illegal aliens and criminals that the Maduro regime has sent into the United States during the weak and inept Biden administration are being returned to Venezuela at a rapid pace. America will not allow criminals. Bitch, you're a fucking criminal, 34 convicted felon. What the fuck are you talking about? Terrorists. Pete Hegseth literally just executed 8 people on international waters. Or other countries to rob, threaten, or harm our nation. And likewise will not allow a hostile regime to take our oil, land. What land? There is no land. We don't own land in Venezuela. Or any other assets, all of which must be returned to the United States immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I fucking hate this bitch. So, I found this video that I think everyone needs to watch because it is so blatantly obvious what is happening that Sky fucking News created an entire segment calling out Trump's ass, which I fucking love. So I'm just gonna let this play because you learn a lot and it breaks down why this was never about drug traffickers and it was always about the fucking oil.
Donald Trump is insisting that the main reason he's interested in Venezuela, the main reason the US is kind of looking at tankers off the coast of Venezuela comes back to drugs, the trade, the smuggling of illegal drugs out of Venezuela. But what if it's not just that? Maybe there's something else going on. What if it's partly about oil?
What?
Now, on the surface, you might be thinking, why does America even need Venezuelan oil? And I can kind of understand your point, because if you look at just total oil production, look, this is up until 2005, the US was there, Venezuela was there, Saudi Arabia was there. But as you probably know, since then, everything has changed. Look, American output has gone through the roof, way above Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela has gone basically to the floor. And that's kind of post-Chavez, Maduro. They're one of the minnows now, and I think 21st biggest producer in the world. So again, that question, why should America care? Well, in the US, that big rise is largely down to this. It's down to the shale revolution. So you've got fracking all around the US producing extraordinary
Literally destroying our planet.
amounts of crude oil. And here's where we get to the interesting bit. Because when you're thinking about crude oil, maybe you're just thinking about, well, look, barrels of oil. It's all the same, isn't it? Well, actually, no. So if you kind of look at crude oil, there are various different types of crude in different parts of the world. There's actually kind of various different ways you can categorize it, but one way you can look at it is look at the kind of density. So you're basically looking at how thick that crude is. And when I say thick, I mean literally how thick. This is showing you global production broken down by the density of that oil. And so you've got the kind of medium stuff. And this is probably, if you've got kind of image in your mind of what crude oil looks like, it's a bit like this, you know, it's kind of black, but it's not too viscous, it flows around. But there's other stuff as well. So this is light crude. And it kind of almost looks like a smoothie, doesn't it? And that's the same stuff. This is still crude oil, but down to the kind of geological and the biological conditions in the ground when it was being formed, you know, hundreds of millions of years ago, it comes out looking a bit different. And so that's light. You've also got heavy stuff. And it's kind of relatively small in global production, but this is gloopy, super viscous stuff, heavy oil. So heavy, medium, light. Remember that. And remember also, the key thing here is, you get it out of the ground, it may look like that, but ultimately, you still need it to go into, you know, someone's car, or indeed, you know, be turned into chemicals. Basically, you need to process it, and that processing, that happens in places like this, in refineries, and there are refineries all over the world, of course. There are refineries all over the US as well. There's kind of more than 100 of them. And if we kind of look at where those refineries are, well, so there's some in California. So the history in America, actually, historically, a lot of the early Californian oil, that was the heavy, gloopy stuff. And if you look at kind of some of the refineries in America, so here are some of the refineries. There's one in LA there. These are the 10 biggest. You've got some up here around kind of towards Canada. We'll kind of come to that in a second. But a lot of them are down there, kind of Texas, Louisiana, on the coast. And here's the critical thing. These refineries are primarily set up for heavy oil, for taking that gloopy stuff and turning it into gasoline and all of the other different products. But here's where things get interesting. And remember that chart I showed you a moment ago, the one which showed kind of shale oil and how it kind of went through the roof? The oil that's generally produced with shale oil, the fracking oil, that comes out of the ground mostly in the light form. So it's the smoothie. It's sometimes actually even clear. It comes out of the ground clear rather than black. And that's the majority of American production right now. Shale oil tends to be light stuff. And actually, that's kind of going back 10 years. Look at where we are now. Look at those bars. In the last few years, the amount of light oil being produced in the US has gone up and up and up, and the amount of kind of heavy stuff has gone down. But back to those refineries. They need to be fed. If America's going to have gasoline, it needs to feed those refineries with heavy oil. So if you look at the kind of imports coming into America, in recent years, even though America is producing so much oil, more oil than it ever produced before, it still needs to suck in loads of oil from overseas. And the type of oil we're talking about, it used to be, it's mostly heavy crude. It used to be only 12%. So only 12% of imports were heavy, gloopy crude. Now, it's about 70%. So 70% of the oil coming into America, which it needs to basically keep its economy going, is heavy crude. And where does heavy crude come from? Well, here are some of the big countries where you find most of it. It's Canada and Venezuela.
What?
There's one other I'll come to in a second, which we'll come back to. But it's Canada and it's Venezuela where you get most of this heavy crude oil, which is why, back to think about where those refineries are, they're mostly set up, kind of, you've got some in the north there to get the heavy oil coming out of Canada, and you've got some around the kind of Louisiana and elsewhere and Texas to get that heavy oil that comes in from Venezuela. That was kind of the way they were set up. And it's really expensive to rebuild these things. You can't just chuck out a refinery very easily overnight. Some came from Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico as well, and that was pretty heavy too. So that's the picture in America. And the upshot is, even though America is producing more and more oil, the imports, this is showing you imports of oil into America, are still really high. And if you break down those imports by the country that stuff is coming from, well, there's Venezuela, and it used to be a decent slug, actually more coming from Venezuela just about than from Canada, just at the turn of the millennium. But now look at what's happened since. Right now, Canada has gone from 15% of all of the US imports of oil to 61%. 61%, and Venezuela's basically next to nothing. But here's what's tantalizing, and here's the reason I think that a lot of people are looking towards Venezuela and thinking, well, there's more to this than just drugs. Look at total oil reserves around the world. The higher these bars are, the more oil there is in the ground, so that hasn't yet been taken out of the ground. So there you've got Saudi, Iran, Iraq, all of the usual suspects.
Iran, Iraq. Didn't we do an illegal invasion in Iraq? Huh.
But the biggest of all, and this is according to various different sources, the biggest of all is Venezuela. And what's that oil? It's the heavy, tarry stuff that you might well want to put into those American refineries. And there is really only one other place in the world that has a kind of serious amount of heavy oil other than Canada and Venezuela. And lo and behold, guess where that is?
Russia.
It's Russia. All of which is to say, you know, it matters what kind of oil America needs. It's worth just delving into these kind of nuances because that helps you understand a little bit more about the backstory of geopolitics.
I thought this did a fantastic job explaining it in ways. I know it's about oil, but I can't explain like the statistics, and I can't explain because I really don't understand it, to be completely honest. It kind of goes over my head. But it's literally the Iraq War 2.0. Like, no one is happy about this. And I think that's the thing that I think is so fascinating. Because you would expect, like, okay, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie. Not no one is happy. But you would expect, like, there would be more people that are like, excuse me, like, we were told we're not going into a forever war. Well, obviously, Trump is a warmonger. And I think that Ruben Gallego did a pretty decent job talking about it.
These guys want to get us into a war. They want to create a justification for us to be in a war. So what do? They shut down the airspace. They're shutting down commerce. And you know, forget about these drug dealers. Most of those drugs aren't even coming here. They're going to Europe. They're going to other places. But what they're trying to do again is to trip us into the war because they know the most important thing is the American public hates war. We're sick of war. This president ran on being against war, and now because of a bunch of neocons around him, Cuban neocons, they want to get us into a war so that way they could finally fulfill their full vision of a Latin America without Cuba and without Venezuela being in the control of communists. These guys want to get us in.
It's true. I mean, it's very important to understand that he said something else too. It's very important to understand, like, we are in this at the end of the day because of George Bush. Let's be fucking real. Because if it wasn't for the invasion of Iraq, illegal invasion of Iraq, and then without Obama continuing with the drone strikes in Syria, without Obama kind of going more into Afghanistan and Iraq, then Biden doing fucking nothing, Trump doing nothing. Like, it's a buildup. But this is another forever war. And what's frustrating and what has been frustrating me forever is the silence from Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. Where the fuck are they? But they've been told to be silent about this because of their who? Their donors. See, I don't want the people that are helping to run this country to be reliant on donors. I want them to actually think about constituents. And I think more people need to understand we need to get money out of politics. Money has overtaken and completely destroyed politics. That's why gun control is not a thing. It's because of money in politics. So I just think that people truly do not understand the severity of the situation because, I mean, no one really is like paying attention, but also the Democrats aren't messaging. The Democrats haven't said fucking shit. The Democrats aren't fighting back. Like, it is mind-boggling to me. I don't think the Democrats have said fucking anything about this, actually. Let's check Hakeem Jeffries. page. Let's see if he's made any fucking statement. The fact that Track Hakeem Jeffries came up first, what? Yeah. Hakeem. What the fuck? Okay, Chuck Schumer has not said anything. The last tweet from Chuck Schumer was 15 Jews were slaughtered in cold blood on Hanukkah, and the Trump admin response is to soften the USCG policy against Nazi swastikas. I didn't even see that. And refuse to condemn the virulent. No one knows what that word means. Anti-Semitism of Nick Fuentes. Okay, but like, it's more than Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is... It's more than Nick Fuentes, though. Like, you can't just say Nick Fuentes. It's more than Nick Fuentes. And Hakeem Jeffries hasn't said fucking shit. Surprise, surprise. It's just, it's getting really fucking old yelling at these people, these Diet Coke Republicans every fucking day. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. And I just don't understand how we can continue to elect people that don't care about us, that literally could give two fucks about the constituents. Like, it is clear Hakeem Jeffries could give two fucks about us. He has shown that time and time again. Marco Rubio, literally all he had to do, all this motherfucker had to do was post this. This motherfucker is probably so fucking happy. He's probably skipping and hopping. It's just like, it's really disheartening, because it's like, we are about to go into a forever war. Thousands of United States Army personnel are going to be killed. Millions of people will be displaced. And where the fuck do you think they're going to go? They're going to go up. They're going to go to the United States. That's literally what happened when the fall of Argentina happened. That's what happened when Venezuela fell before. They went up. They have to fucking go somewhere. I just don't understand why it has come to this, where they're like, let's do a forever war, but immigrants have to stay in places that are rotten-filled rubble. They have to stay where there's no access to water. It's destitute. No. You want to do a forever war. This is the other consequences. Immigrants aren't consequences, but like, in their fucking eyes they are. It's very, very sad. Because like, people are gonna die. This motherfucker is a warmonger. People are gonna die. And the thing is, the Democrats are not messaging correctly. Like, all you have to say is, this is Iraq 2.0. Over 4,000 troops were murdered. Over a million people in Iraq were murdered. We spent billions of dollars just for Al-Qaeda to take over once again. There is no reason for us to be executing people on international waters. There also is no reason to be going into Venezuela. Do you understand how big Venezuela is? Venezuela is 2 times the size of California. 2 times the size of California. Like, it is, and look at what happened with Iraq. So if Iraq was billions and millions of dollars. Just imagine how much it's going to be. Just imagine how many people are going to be. It's going to double. It's going to triple. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, this is bigger. This is twice as big as Iraq. Venezuela is fucking huge. And on top of that, Venezuela has forests. And as we saw with Vietnam, the United States didn't do very fucking well with the Viet Cong when they were doing guerrilla warfare. Venezuela has been prepping their citizens for this for months. You really think they haven't prepped for the, like, Viet Cong style? I mean, like, come on. And that's the difference. There was no forest in Iraq. There was no guerrilla warfare that was really able to be in Iraq. Venezuela, guerrilla, it's gonna be like Vietnam. But worse, because Venezuela is also bigger than Vietnam. It's just like, this is so infuriating. And like, so many people are gonna die. And I don't want people to die. Like, I don't want people to die. I just want people to have universal health care, get rid of their medical debt, get rid of their student loans, be able to go to college for free, be able to be happy, have a livable wage. Like, I just want the bare fucking minimum for people. I don't want people to fucking die. But that is all what the Republicans want. They do not care about their constituents. They lie and lie and lie and just focus on the culture wars. They're about to get rid of 24 million people's subsidies for Obamacare. Like, they don't care about you. And it's heartbreaking because this is just in January. Then in 2026, because of the big bullshit bill, 17 million people are going to be kicked off of their health care. On top of 500 rural hospitals will have to shut down because of all the cuts that they did to SNAP, Medicare, and Medicaid. Like, these fuckers are evil. Pure evil. And it's so frustrating that we could do so well in this country if we were run by people that actually give a fuck about us. If we were run by people who actually wanted us to succeed. By sending us to Venezuela, you want us to fail. I'm 100%. You want us to fail. That is a forever war. It's like Vietnam. It's like Iraq times 2. Like, it's gonna be so fucking bad. And I can't even trust the Democrats because let's be real, they're gonna get in power. When they get back in power, to pull out the fucking troops. Because Obama did it. Obama promised that he'd bring home the troops in Afghanistan. And what did he do? He didn't. He sent more troops. He did more drone strikes. So I can't even trust the fucking Democrats. This is so dangerous. And it's like very frustrating that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are fucking silent on this because they are literally held by the donors. The donors have them by the fucking balls and are saying, don't say anything. I don't want my Congress people to be held by the uterus and balls. Like, hello? I'm so fucking scared. Like, I'm so fucking scared. And what's even more frustrating is there is going to be, like, look at what they're doing in ICE. Like, there's like, what radicalized me, besides my own health journey, was learning about what the United States did in Latin America and Central America. That's what radicalized me. The amount of destruction that the United States did and how they send money to puppet governments to do their dirty bit work. That's what radicalized me. That's why I'm so passionate about this, because I have seen it. I have studied it. It is not going to be a fucking cakewalk. Well, these psychopaths think they are. And on top of that, what's really frustrating is most of these people are old as fuck. Okay? Trump is going to die any fucking second. Let's be real. Chuck Schumer's close to it. Grassley, I truly am surprised he's living. Like, these fuckers are so fucking old. So they're not going to have to experience the repercussions of their fucking actions. But you know who it does? The young man in Ohio who's like, I'm going to fight for my country. The young woman in Nevada who's like, you know what? I want to stand up for my country. Let's protect them because I lost my brother to fentanyl overdose. The National Guards woman that literally died in Washington, D.C. was only 20 years old. Those are the people that Trump wants to send to Venezuela. Meanwhile, these fuckers are old as fuck. They're basically rotting. Let's be real. And they're going to not be here. But the people that are should be able to have their entire life ahead of them and not go into a forever war. Like, that's how scary things are. That's how dangerous things are. And I'm trying to put things in perspective. I've been screaming about this for months because once we go in, it's over. Like, we're going to be there for at least 20 years. Because I cannot trust the Democrats. The Democrats have not shown any decency, any fight. They have been silent, which makes them complacent because they fucking want this too. Because the Democrats are also neocons, and we need to get the Diet Coke Republicans out of this fucking office. Like, I'm so fucking sick of these people. They, like, today, another example, today, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who I call Pinocchio because that motherfucker can't lie for shit. He turns bright red. You can tell when he's lying. He literally is not going to hold a vote for the ACA subsidies. Wouldn't you be surprised? Who would have fucking thought? So for the Diet Coke Republicans that literally caved during the government shutdown and was like, y'all should be happy. We got to vote. We got to vote. Fuck you. Fuck you. People's insurances are going to go through the fucking roof because y'all fuckers caved. This is what I mean. You can't trust the Diet Coke Republicans. You can't trust the Republicans at all. They have no soul. Hello. It's just like we are in it. And until we put in progressives, until we start educating people to the masses, we are just going to continue to go into war, continue to go and hate each other. It's just evil, evil, evil. And it fucking sucks. Like, I think that's why millennials are so fucking tired, because we've gone through 9/11, the Great Depression, COVID, and we're Trump, hello. And then now we're going to go to another forever war. That's not fucking normal. Oh, and we're going through a recession right now. So I just feel really frustrated and really let down today. Not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie though, the variety piece, I'm not gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it tomorrow, but the variety hit piece was fucking hilarious. But so to send it off, let's look at the pictures because I think it's so fucking funny how much they like just destroyed the Trump regime. Okay. So Susie Wiles is Trump's chief of staff, and she did 11 interviews with with Variety. So this is just like, oh,